to, for compassion or for whatever, lend the power to Biden so Biden can go ahead and do whatever radical policy he wants on the left. He only have 1 year left because today he got it all: the White House, the lower chamber, Senate, and that will be expire probably next year because he might lose one of those chambers, and that will be more difficult to go ahead.
That's why he's gone berserk on the executive orders.
But remember, he was the VP of Obama.
Yeah.
Obama missed the chance for radical change the first 2 years in office, 2008.
Radical
2000.
change.
Yes, he missed it. I think if Obama had a chance to go back 2008, he will be more pushy. He wouldn't miss this window. And that is what's happening with Biden. Biden wants to use excuses and excuses and excuses, no matter what, to get things done before he loses the three: the White House, the lower, and the Senate. 3 strikes.
Well, there's other, we got to look at there's loads of angles to look at this. In terms of the big pharma, the relationship big pharma with the Bidens, because Biden's wife is actually part of the FDA as well.
So is Fauci's, yeah.
And the CDC, as you can tell.
The CDC. And as well as that, the lobbyists for Pfizer, the people who are getting paid the most money, ironically, if you do follow the paper trail, the money trail, you'll find out that the top lobbyist for Pfizer is Joe Biden, closely followed by a second, Donald Trump. So, why do they push it so hard?
Hold on. I don't want you to forget that Pfizer got the vaccine right before November the 4th.
Election.
Before November the 4th was Trump. And after, announcing it after, was for Biden. So Pfizer had the chance to bet either to announce right before the 4th or right after the 4th. And they have chosen that later.
Well, like I said, they all have invested interests. It's a roadmap, like it or not. Listen, I mean, in the year 2000, Kofi Annan announced that the 6 billionth baby child was born on the planet Earth. We was at 6 billion. We are now approaching 7.5 or even more billion people, which they said at 9 billion we are at critical mass.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in 1800 there was 500 million people on Earth, and it grew exponentially after the Industrial Revolution from 500 million to 7.5 billion. So we grew more in the last 200 years than we did in the previous 50,000 years that humans existed. So there has been a huge population explosion. And I don't know, maybe this is a culling. Maybe this is some sort of, scientific, sort of like the Georgia Guidestones say, you must keep the population under 500 million. I don't know what it is, but it's not looking good. To me, it seems diabolical. That's what I can say.
Well, Fernando's just pulled up on our friend Google the actual number of people on the planet Earth. And that currently stands at 7.9 billion people on the planet right now. And so the debate for critical mass must be amongst the world leaders and how to sustain humanity.
That's true. And automation has taken over a lot of the jobs that a lot of people aren't needed anymore. I think maybe if we're gonna think in conspiratorial aspect of things, I think a lot of people aren't needed as they used to be, maybe, and maybe this is some sort of way of getting rid of some. Also, it definitely attacks the old people that don't pay any taxes and take from the system. Keeps the young people alive. Is this a design? What happened with the Intercept article with the 900-page gain of function evidence that came out this week for Fauci? What's going on here? That's my question.
Well, it's Fauci, isn't it? It's Fauci's all about semantics and saying potatoes and potatoes, tomatoes and tomatoes, and gain of function and not gain of function. It was just the process, So it's they're at a stage of ultimate power.
Right.
As Fernando said, it's about the power, and now how power is being wielded and thrown down in this authoritarian format.
Absolutely.
Where we have to get in line. There must be a motivation behind this drive to get everybody in order so rapidly. And I believe COVID is a tool. And I'm a victim of COVID. Don't get me wrong,
I as well.
And I had it severely in ICU, but I'm not under any kind of I definitely know that this is some kind of tool because of the dramatic law changes which have gone across the world. Some of them making zero sense to being absolutely crazy.
Pretty much all of them.
Yeah, they have destroyed countries and economies, and they continue to do this. And the goalposts. Well, I see a cartoon in the newspaper in England with Boris Johnson and Michael Gove running with the goalposts because it's continuously moving. And
all right. It was going to be 2 weeks to flatten the curve? Is that right?
The infamous 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And here we are. And, vaccines and then back to normal. And then a second vaccine and then a booster shot. And now booster shots for the rest of the year. Now 18-year-olds have to get vaccinated. Exactly. And then, you should really advise your child to get vaccinated. Then it would be infants be vaccinated, and they're trying to make a parallel between this vaccine and with traditional vaccines which have been tried and tested over decades, whether it's BCGs and smallpox and whatever. If you go to Africa, you have to get a malaria shot and stuff like that. These things have been tried and tested and have not been kind of admitted under any dubious circumstances. Yeah. And this is the problem, what everybody's having, is the circumstances.
This reminds me of this another piece of news that passed by this week, which was the horse dewormer that Joe Rogan took, the ivermectin, which all mainstream news came out as saying he's taking horse dewormer. When ivermectin comes in tablets and 80,000 people were actually prescribed this medicine by doctors, and also, horses also take aspirin, by the way. They also drink water. So just because there's also a version that with a syringe that's for horses, it doesn't mean that because Joe Rogan took it.
It's witch hunts.
Yeah, and they all came out saying that. And not only that, he actually got better. And I'll tell you something about ivermectin. It cleans up the system and it makes the natural immune system work better. So I don't know what is going on. It was completely orchestrated because they all came out saying the same thing, and they should be sued, honestly.
It's an echo chamber. I'll give you the floor in a sec. It's echo chamber, what's going on right now, and you're having people like Arnold Schwarzenegger saying screw your freedom.
Correct.
And now coming out, you got the Howard Stern saying the same
Oh,
thing.
also, yeah, I heard about
Screw
that.
your
Yeah.
freedom. You got Sean Penn saying, well, you don't get vaccine, it's like you're pointing a loaded gun at me. The extremities of these celebrities, not doctors.
It's a cult. it's reacting like a cult.
Anyway, Fernando, you want to say something?
Well, first of all, if you get a virus, you better get rid of parasites if you want fighting
Exactly.
a virus. So basically, you're already getting rid of parasites. I want to say something what I consider fundamental. Vector, which is life-changing, the way we know it. On one hand, we do have COVID, basically, to common sense, to shift power, more power, to the power, basically, to give them more power. It's about power, COVID. Now, what I believe is about to happen next, it's, again, artificial intelligence. That means thinking faster than the human being, coming with an answer many, many times before the human can, a machine can up with this podcast, come up with an answer right before we spend the whole night talking about it. The machine will know it within seconds. So, if Facebook, Google, Amazon Web Services, intelligence and artificial intelligence in China can understand human behavior, with more than 1 billion people in there, can understand human behavior and can apply that into the States. And the president, the establishment in the States can grab power out of the town people because of COVID, then they can always be a step ahead of everyone else. And they can use that to hold power, to hold into whatever they want to do. So if you are a disruptor and you hold into power, then to hold into status quo and power, artificial intelligence will help you forever.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. I think the exponential growth of technology versus humanity is tightening the screws. And like I said, unfortunately, I think Huxley was more correct than Orwell, because Orwell was a forced dystopia and Huxley's was an accepted dystopia. I think people are, the majority of people at least, are accepting what they're being told. They're not doing research for themselves, and they're conditioned to believe what they're told to believe.
Yeah, the naked truth. Mark Zuckerberg. 2016, he offered help to all politicians, Democratic or Republican. 4 years later, he became wild. He put $400 million out of his own pockets. He got involved in the swing states. He wanted to make sure that Trump did not exist anymore.
He's a demigod, yeah.
I think, and that is totally prejudiced from my side, that what Trump has done with TikTok, forcing them to transfer servers from China to America, scared the shit out of him, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that was a catalyst for the demise of Donald Trump via social media. There was the groupings of the tech companies, now super tech companies, in terms of they merge together for one cause, and they make super tech companies, which you have your Googles and your Facebook and your Twitters, which control the social social platforms globally.
It's social engineering. I mean, they're